Welcome back to the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Kendra Chapman, your host, and this is the space where we talk to fascinating people about how they go slow long enough to realign with what truly matters most so we can move forward with more clarity, intention, and purpose. Today's conversation is a great reminder that success starts within. If we want to attract more, if we want to make more money, if we want that financial freedom, if we want that lifestyle that we're seeking, that we've been working hard to create, then it all starts with us. You also have to do the work inside to tackle that lack mentality, to tackle those negative voices from within, to know that you're worth it all, that you are enough and you are worth the money that you want to charge for your services or to get that promotion. Whatever it is that you are searching for, you're enough. And so then you just have to show that to the world to attract more. And so our conversation today is with Ash Shukla. He is a financial guru who came to the United States with $20 in his pocket. And now he has a successful business and he coaches others on ways to make money and be successful. And we all know it's not about the money. It's about having the money so you can be comfortable and live the life you want, right? Because we all are truly searching for that. And it's going to look different for everybody. Ash breaks down what you need to do to bust those limits, those limiting beliefs about finance, about money, about your worth. And we get into all those details. So stay tuned and find out what he has to share. What's his secret to success? Let's dive in. Ash, I just want to say thank you for being here with me today on the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast. So welcome. I like to start the conversation with how you like to go slow to go fast.
All right. First of all, it's a great question. So thank you so much for that. First of all, thank you so much, Kendra, for having me here. I really appreciate you. And those of you who are listening, I want to let you guys know I really appreciate you for listening to me. I truly, truly am thankful and I'm blessed. So that being said, for me, go slow to go fast is really understanding your inner being. And once you understand your inner being and then you take whatever action or whatever you're looking to go, you can always slow down first and then you can go faster that way.
Yes, I think it's good to have both in your world, right? Knowing when to go slow, when to go fast.
Absolutely.
And yeah, for you, Ash, before we get into your background and talk about your story, is there anything that you do in your daily practice that you want to share with viewers and listeners about how you start your day or end your day?
So for me, when I begin my day, every morning when I wake up and every morning, every night when I go to bed, I do 10 random gratitudes. So these gratitudes are totally random. They're not specific to one way or the other. Okay, and the randomization is like thank you my pillow, thank you to my bed sheet, thank you to my it goes to a level where so it's really totally random, right? So that's first thing because it gets my brain up and running early in the morning or at night. It helps me to slow down, and then I'll do 10 like 108. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, the hope, no prayers. So I'll do that every evening. So every morning and every evening I'll do both of those. And then I look at my vision board.
That's lovely. How often do you update your vision board? Do you set it up at the beginning of the year or a certain time of the year and then
For me, there are 5 areas of life that I constantly focus on: health, relationship, business, finance, spirituality. And then depending on what area I need to work on. So like I am working on, I mean, most of my areas are pretty set up. Like my spirituality is pretty set. Uh, finances are in a very good shape. Business wise, I'm, is where my growth patterns are, and my health are the two main areas I usually focus on. And then rest of the areas for me, like relationship is already set up for me as well. So I look at like the two areas and I start constantly because I'm constantly going up right in those areas.
And the reason why I ask you all those probing questions is I'm just fascinated to know what your personal practice is, but also just, especially for successful people out there that I have as guests, it's always good to kind of know what your day looks like and how you incorporate those strategies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
asking that question.
for sure. Can can you share your background and how you got into the finance world that you're in now and how you're supporting others? Can you start from the beginning and kind of share your story with listeners and viewers out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally came here from India with 20 bucks and no English. I grew up here in Maryland. I was in the financial industry for almost 30 years. When I started in the financial world, I wasn't bad. I was pathetic. I had to blackmail my dad through my mom to get the first sale in the door. And eventually I became really good at it. And I was managing over $300 million. Then I started my own company in 2004. I built it successfully. I sold everything about 5 years ago. I have been doing consulting, coaching, training. I found my company, Financial Chakras, in 2008. During my practice, somebody I knew very closely scammed me in 2007. And that's how I found, I went to my grandfather. I asked him a question. I needed to work internally and I needed to really, figure my way out. I was doing about $5 million a year in business at the time, and the goal was to obviously goal is to grow my business. And I felt like I was not going to grow. I was like really plateauing and I was slowly beginning to go down. My grandfather was a hero of mine, and we I always went to him for everything, right? Whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically, spiritually, yoga, meditation, finance, business, everything. So he helped me get aligned, and literally in 6 months, I doubled my business. So I went from 5 million to 10 million. So I asked him a question: has anybody proven how chakras exist in finances? And he's like, that has never been done before. So I figured out a path, and I figured out a way that when you put chakras in specific order, you can actually create your own signature financial flow, so that you don't have to go backwards. So as time went on, I started teaching that, and I ended up helping over 5,000 entrepreneurs and business owners. I've taken several of them over $1 million in revenue. Have first I have received a congressional honor for the work I've done, and I wrote a book called Sell Like Crazy in 2012, and now I'm finishing out my new book, Financial Chakras.
It's the American dream. You came to another country with only $20 in your pocket and you made all these things come true that you had a vision about and you made it happen. And that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, and I also love that you were you had the forethought to bring in Eastern practices, methods of the chakra system. If you don't mind just kind of giving viewers and listeners a little background on what that means, because they may not know the this philosophy behind chakras and why that would blend so well with finances and wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. So those of you who don't know, I want to let you know chakra, the word Chakra, and there are seven of them, Chakras, chakras, right? And they reside in your base of your spine. So right, is they start at the base of your spine, right between your private and your rectum, the tailbone, okay? And there are seven of them, which I will explain in a second. But let's understand the word first, chakra. What does that mean? Where it came from? So chakra, the word came from, the oldest text called the Vedas, Vedas, Vedas. And basically, this book of Vedas were written, there are four Vedas in Indian culture. They were written up in about 1500 BC. And that's where the word chakra was written for the first time. The word chakra means wheel, like a wheel of a car, or it's a wheel. And there are in your body, as to be said, there are seven chakras in your body. So these chakras govern your emotions, your physical and your etherical body. So that being said, let's just go with the emotional body for a second. So emotionally, the root chakra directly affects your emotions, such as, so each chakra governs and basically handles different emotions. So emotionally speaking. So that being said, when the chakra is, think of it like a seven chakras, and seven chakras are like a lock of a combination. So it starts with the base of the spine, then it goes to the second chakra is right where your privates are. Third chakra is where you like if you were to take an arrow and point it, from my side, it will be in the back of the spine, basically, right? So if you were to take a look at it from here, it will be actually in the back of the spine. Somebody would, take an arrow and put it on my belly button. So that would be my third chakra, right? So third chakra, then you have the fourth chakra, which is your heart chakra. Fifth chakra is your throat chakra. Sixth chakra is your third eye chakra, and then your seventh chakra, which is your all the way at the top of your crown of your head. Now each chakra has different emotions. Root chakra is fear, anxiety, uncertainty, you're not comfortable or you are comfortable, like, or you are safe or you're not safe, like those things come from your root chakra. So many times when you feel into the feeling anxiety or uncertainty or things of the nature, you are actually tapping into that chakra. So there are these chakras, these are governed. The reason they're so important is because there are 70,000 nadis, meaning nerves, that meet each one of those chakras. So as you look at, there are 70,000 nerves in your body. They are actually, like literally connected, and the command is given, and that the emotion, oh my God, I'm fearful, and then boom, it gets to your brain and everywhere else if you was. That being said, these seven chakras, just root chakra itself is one. Then you have, the second chakra, and so each chakra has its own little governing body, and each chakra has its own emotions, if you will, that they're controlling you as a human being. Now, every time you are emotional, I'll give you an example, understanding. So this is your goals and your dreams. This is where you are looking to go. So this is where my story was with my grandfather. What he told me is that first things first, understand that everything in the universe is energy, and the energy has frequency. And this frequency creates the form, meaning you and I are frequency, like me and you, Kendra, are frequency. This riverside is a frequency, right? So if this frequency, if I did not log into this riverside, we wouldn't be talking, right? So it's a frequency. Everything is frequency. So a frequency creates a form. We can see each other because of frequency. But this form, this energy that we are talking about, it cannot be created or it cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form into the other form. So that's all we can do. So once you help me understand that, Kendra, then we begin to dive into the chakras and the methodologies and things of the nature. And then once I begin to understand that, I'm like, oh my God, like, so that means that this is my goals, this is where I am. In the middle, I have my all of my negative emotions, feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and actions going on, and I'm really just trying to cross over. And then once he helped me understood that and tap into myself, and help me understand, unlock these seven chakras. So these are like combination of a lock. If one of them is off balance, the rest of them won't function. So essentially, he helped me get it opened up, and I was able to double my business. And I never looked back after that. By the way. So that's my story.
I think, that's so insightful with it's helpful for folks to think about their chakras and that alignment. And, you may, if, listeners and viewers out there, you may have seen a chart on the internet or in a book where it shows the different colors of the rainbow. I mean, there are some color coordination as you go up. But the idea that it's a wheel of energy and it should be spinning, right? That is how it should be. But if it's blocked, it's interesting to kind of think about, which of my chakras are blocked, what might be going on with me or a listener or viewer out there. Do you see patterns with people that are dealing with, you know, lack, those feelings of lack and having issues with wealth? Do you see that there's a pattern of a specific chakra that's blocked, or could it be any or all of them?
No, so there are specific patterns, and then there is, and it could be all of them. Just depends, right? So
Yeah.
depending on how bad the trauma is. So because of what we do as human beings, we filter information from different filters, from what we know. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I had a client of mine, and she owns a pretty big, company. It's a doggy spa company, and she comes on board, and she's like Ash, like, elderly person, somebody I love dearly. They're a very good client of mine, and they're like, Ash, I've been told, her belief system since she was growing up. Now, I didn't know when I was doing the breakthrough for her, but what happened was she was like, I believe that you can't do business in a hoodie. Right. So what happened was had gone to a conference, and we both belong to this group. So we both had gone to the conference, and I was, going to the mic and speaking and like really just sharing, who I am and things like that. And we were discussing. She's part of my VIP mastermind group. So she's discussing. She's like, Ash, you always were up there. I said, yeah, because it's a free opportunity for me to, publish, what I'm doing. And she's like, yeah, but I wouldn't do that. And this is how the conversation came about. And she's like, well, yeah, but I feel, like, she was dressed up at the conference, right? But she's like, I feel like, I can't really go in public, in a hoodie. But the fact is, she was in a hoodie when she was talking to me. So that's but that. So we were having conversation, and then I helped her like create a. So what I do is one of the things I do is I create breakthroughs. There are specific exercises I did once I understood where she was coming from. What I found is her root chakra was really, really blocked off. And then what she was doing is she's a very intellectual person. So she would go into her third eye chakra. And when she goes into third eye chakra, she goes into the loop of like scarcity and anxiety and uncertainty and all these things. And it kept on going, kept on going, kept on going. So once I created a breakthrough, right? Like she's like, after the breakthrough was done, it was so ingrained in her since she was a child, because her mom actually was always dressed up, and she said you should never leave a house without dressing up. Now that's a belief. A belief is like anything that you say, um I can't do this because. Any sentence that comes after a because is a belief, and beliefs are harder to break. They're more ingrained in you, and they are much tougher to overcome. So once I did that for her, so normally I can do a breakthrough within 15 to 30 minutes. I can create a breakthrough pretty easily with anyone. So I'm talking to her, and she's telling me this thing, and I create a breakthrough. Did you not? So when you have a breakthrough, right, like that, where she literally had a breakthrough, and she's like, Ash, I can now be in a hoodie, and I can be in front of, doesn't matter how many people. Her social media fears went away. Her anxiety of meeting other people went away. Her anxiety of, her talking, I'm sorry, talking to other people went away, right? And she's now, next time when she goes to the conference, she's like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to speak, and I'm going to make sure that I'm in a hoodie. So the example is very small, but yet very profound, because she was so scared, and she was constantly saying to herself that I am not good enough. That was the main issue. So the question is, how do you do that? I'll give you a second example on that. A client of mine came to me about a year and a half ago, and financially total mess. Talk about like, she was undergoing negative $6,000 a month. Okay. And she's like, I want to work with you. She starts working with me. And literally, in like I helped her with some things, energetically get aligned and all that stuff. Her thing was she was a overspender. Like she just loved to spend for her kids, and nothing wrong with it. She was helping her children and all that stuff. And she has a big family she's taking care of by herself. So expenses are there. I mean, by nature, right? Because you're raising people. So that being said, started working with her, and first thing I noticed is her second chakra is really, really opened up. She loves to take risks. She loves to like just do things. And her third chakra was, she kept on feeling like I need to feel important. I need to feel like really I need to make sure like, I'm the breadwinner. I take care of people. So a lot of ego stuff was going on. So I started working with her. I created breakthroughs, emotional breakthroughs for her, and then I also helped her with strategy, like financial stuff. I can't give financial advice anymore, but basically I was able to help her out. Year and a half later, she was in debt, let's just say good amount. She has paid off almost 60% of all her debts. Cash flow wise, she's cash flow positive, right? So she's turning the corner in 1 year. And now, so that's what it does when you cross the bridge, and when you really cross the bridge and get to the next level. That's exactly what it does. So you
Mm.
really get to have that sense of accomplishment, sense of freedom, sense of peace, if you will, right? So that's those couple of stories I can share with you to let you know that, it's possible for anybody to do this.
Yeah, it sounds like what you do when you, and I'm just going to put this in my own kind of words, and you can tell me if I'm on the right path or not. But when you confront people's belief system based on, if they're open to working with you, then you figure out if, it sounds like some chakras might be overactive and others might be underactive. So you're looking at balancing all the chakras so they're working in harmony. And so then people can reach their goals.
Yes, yes. So exactly. So it's not about confronting, but it's more about understanding, because it's
Mm,
understanding where, because it like, for instance, like, let's say that somebody's stuck in a whatever pattern that may be in
hmm
5 areas of life, right? So I
hmm
always say there are 5 areas of life: health, relationship, business, or career, finances, and spirituality. When one of these five is off balance, the rest goes off balance. Okay. So in this case, the second example I gave you, she had gotten divorced 3 years ago, but energetically inside, she was carrying that, right? So it needed to be removed. That divorce has nothing to do with her current circumstance or where she is at right now. Until, so it's a health, relationship, right? This got hurt. So when this got hurt, now it's like this. She's trying to grab something, right? She can't grab it. You have to have five fingers to grab something, right? Or you have to have five fingers to say namaste and cut through the noise in your life. So that's what it does, is really helping you align yourself internally so you can get to the next level, whatever the next level is, essentially.
Right. So you're really working with them it's a gentle approach. You're working with your clients to understand where they're blocked, and then you help them free up that energy.
That energy, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So do you do this? Can you do this over like a Zoom call, or do you need to be with somebody face to face or in the same space?
That's a great question, Conrad. So no, I don't. I always do everything on Zoom. So most of the time, at least, right? So unless somebody requests private session, that's a different story. But typically speaking, it's on Zoom, and it's just as effective as doing it in person. It saves two people time. Okay, I do this for companies. I can do it in groups. It's not. It doesn't have to be one on one. Most of my stuff is in groups. When people come. So my goal is to make the maximum impact, and the best way to make the maximum impact is really making sure that I am delivering content in terms of like mass audiences. Some people do request private sessions. Like, I have a company I'm working with right now. They want a private session from me. They want certain type of breakthroughs, and they want to keep it private, and that's okay.
Yeah. So that sounds like you're versatile and you can work with groups or individuals, whatever they need, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's great that you can do it in person or virtually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
can you talk us through a little bit about the mindfulness influences that affect business decisions? Can you kind of walk us through that? Maybe how you work with a team or a business or an individual on those kinds of ideas?
Yeah. So mindfulness, as a topic. So if you think about mindfulness, okay, by definition, okay, the question becomes as to what is really mindfulness. So mindfulness is being able to understand yourself, understand your surroundings, right? And understanding the people you are really dealing with and the impact you're looking to make. So when you have a proper balance on those four areas, right, you are able to assess everything in a proper manner and move things forward. So when it comes from a mindfulness, daily practices are very crucial, because when you are concentrating, like I do this thing called daily wealth manifestation with people every morning and every night. So every day from 8 to 8:30 Eastern, and then 8:30 to 9 Eastern, both times I do it. Both the times when I do them, and I work with the people's subconscious programming, because everything is subconscious. So there are about 86 billion neurons in your body, neural pathways in your body, and there are 60 million cells in your body. So this neural pathways is what creates this energetic center. Seven chakras are commanding that, right? So these neural pathways determine your destiny. So when you are not in a calm state, in a mindful state, you end up taking hasty decisions, and then it it's a gamble. It could be right or it could be wrong. But the question then becomes as to ask yourself a question: where has that gotten you so far? If it's not very far, like you experience that you have either you look back at your life and you go, I am literally like I'm going up and down, and there are highs and lows, no problem. But overall, I see sideways, right? Or you might see that you have gone down in the wrong direction, or you might feel stuck. But the reality is, your goal is to go up. Okay. And mindfulness allows you to do that where you can take a pause, i.e., give you an example. I went to a conference with a friend of mine, and at the conference, something was offered. In this case, it was a retreat or something. And this person is a pretty big business owner, multi-million dollar business. And when I know their money situations because we have talked about it, their business health, if you will. And I didn't know, but they ended up, just out of emotions, they just, like they always do, right? They just started to work with me, so they're still learning how to do things. So, but they went ahead and did it. It was a $6,000 and some change. That was the package. For this executive that I'm working with, it's not a big deal. They have cash flow to take care of it. The issue is the cash reserves and other things that we've been talking about. So we talk, and I found out that they've signed up. Now, for me, right, I asked a couple of questions. I said, "Can I bring a spouse?" Now, this place is beautiful, but they're going is absolutely gorgeous. They're like, "You can, but it's gonna be, extra money." Right. Then they're like, can you? I said, okay, so what else? What are other expenses that I'm not seeing here? And they're like, well, you'll pay for the hotel and you have to pay for the airfare. Now, this wasn't announced from the stage. It just was announced briefly, but not really, right? So mindfulness allows you to take a breath and say, okay, what is it really going to cost me? So in this case, I did the assessment, and my assessment told me that based on the price for the event, plus the hotel and plus the airfare and plus food, whatever else I'm going to spend on, right? I'm sure when you go far away, you're going to do something. So you're looking at between $15,000 to $20,000 price tag, right? The event, what the whole thing, was it really $6,000, right? So a lot of people obviously went for it and signed up, but what happens is they haven't taken a decision. In that sense, when they are not mindful, they're making a decision. So there's a difference. There's a making a decision, meaning you emotionally just say, oh my God, it's a great idea, and you jump. Okay. That's one way you're coming from your say. So what they're doing is they're awakening your chakras internally, and they're hitting you at a different angles, right? And trying to have you buy emotionally. Essentially, people buy emotionally, define it logically. So the question is, when you're not mindful, you're not doing that. You are literally in a numb state of just emotional high. And that's how this person was making the decision. So that being said, you know, assessing that is very crucial. To me, it is. So, is it a good idea? Yes. Is it a good place to go? Yes. Is it beautiful? Absolutely. Is it going to be a good time for 7 days? Yes. Right. Now, the question is, now let's talk about, is it a good investment within myself to improve myself? Yes. The real question is, you know, am I willing to pay the price? And I'm not willing to pay $15,000 to $17,000 for a 5-day thing, right? To go sit in a spa somewhere and just feel good about myself, right? So it's not necessary. Makes sense for me. Well, it may be necessary for somebody, that's fine. But then the most important question that comes being mindfulness is, am I willing to pay the price? And can I bear the cost? Am I willing to pay the price and can I bear the cost? So am I willing to pay the price of time, space, and money? All three aspects: time, meaning my time as an executive; space, meaning my space, that in my schedule, right? And financially, am I willing to pay the price? And the answer was no. The answer is no. But more importantly, can I bear the cost? Many times, the reason this client, that I'm working with, right, they're not going to go anymore. But financially, can I bear the cost? Meaning, if I lost everything, and I didn't get anything out of it. Can I actually afford that? Can I say, okay, you know what? It's okay. Like, we are right now making a decision about our kitchen. I'm sitting in my family room area, and my kitchen is right here. Okay. So as I'm talking to you, literally, me and my wife, we are making that decision. Friend of mine, he can do a pretty good job. That's what he does. They buy houses and flip and all that. So they happen to have a lot of contractors. So we ended up talking, and they're like, outside of my house, there are big gutters, the water gutters. So one of them fell out, and then just conversation started. And then we've been wanting to do kitchen for a long time, uh, years worth of long project. Okay. So they're like, we're gonna do. My wife's like, I want to get granite in the house. Okay, no problem. We want to, get a hoodie instead of the microwave that we have. We want to get like a kitchen hoodie, right? That's just basic, nothing huge. Okay. So we are literally like sitting down, and then the guy was like, our friend is like, "Oh, don't worry, we take care of it. Oh, don't worry, we take care of it." I'm like, "No, no, no. I need to know the other answers the questions I have, right?" So I spoke to him today. I got everything satisfactorily, right? And we have few things that we want to get done at a price point that's good for us, right? That we feel we have a budget that we have decided that we can invest in the house, and we'll be okay with that. Make sense? So mindfulness allows you to take a pause, right? Allows you to take a pause and make the right choice. So that's what mindfulness allows you to do. Why is that important? Is because in the future, when the right opportunity comes, where you have time, where you can compound your effort, you have the time, money, focus, and space available to invest pour into that and get a lot more return on investment out of what you're doing. And that's why it's important. And that's how it works.
Yes. I mean, I was totally making those connections with your discussion around all the questions that you need to know to ask. I mean, part of it is being informed about, what your goal is. You need to be able to ask the right questions to figure out, does it meet your needs of what you
Yeah.
want? But then you also need, I was looking up the definition. I know there's that term out there in the finance world of ROI, but it is about that return on investment and making sure that you understand what that means and is it to your benefit?
Yeah. And then the only way to do this is that I do this daily wealth manifestation that actually helps quite a bit to a lot of people, right? Like, my client who was about to make a decision, they pause themselves for the first time. They're like, normally I would have just jumped at it and would have just signed up, right? So, but meditation, like manifestation that I do, I work with subconscious programming, and then I go into your 5 areas of life for balance: health, relationship, business, financial, spirituality, right? And last but not least, we celebrate every day. So we create new celebrations in your life. So we actually bring up good memories and we erase bad memories. So that's what that does. So every single day, the result is you are becoming more mindful, you are becoming more holistic, you are becoming more aligned, you're beginning to make proper decisions that is going to be good for you and your family.
Yeah, and I think through all of that process of really focusing in on those 5 areas of your life and the daily celebrations, I think you're probably rising or helping people increase their vibration, their frequency, so they're gonna be bringing in more of what they want.
Yes, that is the main goal, right? So to help you align yourself and you can be at a better frequency and you can get to the next level.
Right. And so, for folks out there right now who are thinking, well, maybe I've got a chakra blocked or more than one, or there isn't alignment somewhere in their 5 areas of, focus for their life, or maybe they're not celebrating enough. They're not thinking about what they're thankful for, their gratitude
Hmm.
moments in the morning or the evening. These are simple things that you can build into your life. But what advice would you give listeners and viewers out there if they're an entrepreneur or thinking about writing a book or starting a business one day? What would be some advice that you would give them to get started?
Okay. So the first things first is, like understand, like, if I was starting over, let's say, I go back 30 plus years. Okay. I was naive. I was 21-year-old kid, didn't know any better. Okay. I saw financial services industry. I was actually studying computer science and minored in math at the time. And as I was doing that, I ran into financial services and I really just jumped in. Honestly, like, somebody shared an idea with me. They used to be with one of the major banks. And I said, I like the idea. And they hired me in the sales, if you will. And I was pure sales, commission sales, if you will. And I didn't know any better. I just jumped in. So most entrepreneurs make a mistake of thinking too long. If you have an idea, learn to trust your instinct, right? Learn to trust your instinct. If your instinct is telling you to slow down, slow down. If your instinct is telling you to go fast, right? But listen to your subconscious mind and really be sure that that is the right way to go, right? Overthinking is a disease. Stop it, right? So when you come from your third chakra, your third eye chakra, your third eye chakra is right here, and it's literally, you know giving you, so it's a logical loop. It's taking you in logical loop, right? What if then loop. So in a computer science programming, we used to learn that, right? What if then loop, zeros and ones. But what if then loop, okay? And this would just, computer would go in a loop and 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 a loop, and it would never end. So if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, first thing is just get started, but at the same time, listen to your instinct. What is telling you what is good for you, what is not good for you. Stop fighting the uphill battle, because what most entrepreneurs do is they have a hill to climb. We all know entrepreneurial journey is a hill, okay? But what we tend to do is make it into cliffhanger. We are expert at that. We make it a cliffhanger and say, well, how come I can't climb that thing? And then you, instead of a cliffhanger, you kind of make it a cliffhanger that goes against you. And now you are up the rock over here, versus over here nicely climbing the hill, right? So, first things first is stop making it a cliffhanger, and stop making it so hard. Just go simple. Start from where you are and start with the idea that you're going to build from scratch. From, like, keep your expenses low, keep your income really high, keep going with that. Because I know a lot of executive firsthand, Kendra, is that executives, just because they're an executive, that doesn't mean they have money. Just so you know, they might be making a lot of money for the company, but a lot of executives are, let's just say, broke. Okay, like, I'm just gonna be put it out there for you. But literally, like, I've talked to executives where they make millions for the company and they have nothing, not even few $100 or $1,000 a month to spare. That's sad. That's sad. I rather have a business where I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm saving 80%, 60%, 50% of that money, right? And paying to myself. And that's a better business to me, because think of it like an investor, right? How would an investor buy my business? Investor would buy your business when it's profitable, not because it's a concept that might work. That's not what they buy businesses on. Like, if I bought a liquor store, if I bought a hotel motel, I'm buying for passive income, not so that I can acquire headache, right? If your business is making less and you're spending more in your personal life, if you're making less and spending more, the result is same. Okay. In Indian culture, we say that when you are making a penny and when you're spending a dollar, right, the result is obvious. You're going to be broke. So stop that. Start where you are. Doesn't matter what your methodology is. To go to networking events, go talk to some people, start get talking to some networking events. A lot of times are free. You can go online or low cost, if you will. Start there and start with asking one simple question: can we meet? And start meeting people on Zoom. And yes, you're going to hear all these things about you shouldn't meet one on one because it's not scalable, blah blah blah. Okay, I don't know any big business owner. Let me be clear with you. I don't know any big business owner that has built a multi-billion-dollar business based on webinars or based on ads. FYI, you can build a multi-million-dollar business, but to build a huge business, I don't know any multi-billion-dollar organization. Like, imagine leaders of countries doing webinars. Hey, I'm going to do a webinar for 30 minutes and maybe you're interested in my country stuff. Come on, seriously? You got to be kidding me. So all these beliefs that you hear, throw them out the window. Start simple, stay grounded, stay with it, and your ideas will work. But stay go steadfast. Don't try to go all in unless you know for sure that that particular thing that you're going to do, it absolutely works. And then once you know it works, you got your mechanism down, go for it. Because what you're looking for is conviction. To find a conviction, you need three ingredients. You need magic, you need logic, you need science. So magic is your belief that you can do this. Absolutely will work for you. Logic is your own logic. My logic is very simple. 10 appointments a day, 3 appointments a day keeps poverty away. 10 appointments a day brings wealth my way. Very, very simple. Not complicated, right? Last but not least is my own science. I can close. Once I talk to people, once I meet people, I can close. That's my like genius. Okay. From the stage, from one on one, from webinars, I do exact same thing every time and I can close every single time. So that's my science though. Correct? That's not your science, that's my science. Your science might be different than mine, and that's okay. What I'm saying is stop doubting that. Believe in the magic, go with your logic and create your own science. And along the way, you're creating your own rhythm, your formula that works for you. That's cookie cutter for you. And when you do that, you can build empire. But stop copying, stop talking to other people. Go with what you know. That's what I would say.
Yes, there were some good nuggets in there, and I think number one is just get started. Don't stay in your head about all the things. Just get started.
Yeah. Just get started. Listen to your instinct. Your energetics are telling you, your chakras are telling you, right? And where to go. You're listening to too many people. Cut out the noise, filter out the noise. And if you want to like learn how to filter out the noise, you're most welcome to come to my any of your listeners are very welcome to come to my wealth manifestation. And I'm happy to give it to them for a few days for complimentary because of their listening to this.
That's lovely. We can make sure that information is in the show notes unless you want to share right now how to connect with you. We can do both. So, where can people find you, Ash?
Okay, so on I have a website financialchakras.com. So
Hmm.
financial chakras.com. Okay, so they can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, pretty much everywhere, including TikTok. So if they want to find me, they can find me, no problem. And in terms of like connecting with me, just connect with me on any one of those platforms. And on my website, you can just there's a book a call with me button. You can just book a call, and I'll be happy to talk.
Lovely. So, do you have any final thoughts for listeners and viewers out there before I let you go?
Final thoughts are, guys, I want to let you guys know that you are built like, but I created this calculator, Kendra, and during my in my book that I'm writing and the calculator I have created, the math, I created a mathematical equation on how to measure your potential in dollars and how to measure your emotions in dollars. So I will tell you firsthand, having done many calculations for many people, that you're worth trillions of dollars. Okay, so don't let anybody tell you that you cannot do this or you cannot do that or you cannot make this or whatever else. Everything that you hear, the feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and actions, that's the order everything comes in. Whatever you have heard negative about you or somebody or about somebody else, right? It's all made up by human beings. All feelings, all emotions are lies that are just created. Okay? They're not good or bad. It just is. But at the end, they're created. They're fabricated. So the emotions that is striking you personally, when somebody says, like, you're telling yourself inside, maybe you're saying, I'm not good enough. Maybe, I can't do this because maybe your phrase is, something to blank, blank, blank because, right? These are your belief systems. Maybe you're feeling like when you're sitting down and really just feeling, you go, oh my God, I feel anxious. And this lady that I talked about first, she was feeling nauseous when we were talking about her past and we were trying to overcome that, right? So you might feel some of those emotions and that's okay. Okay. But what I can tell you is that all of that is under your control and you are the master. You hold the key to that kingdom and you get to control that in any way you want and you get to channel that in the right direction. And once you understand these seven chakras, in which I'm happy to share with you guys, but once you understand these seven chakras and you really start aligning yourself, you can have the mastery, the key to your kingdom, and you can literally accomplish anything. So that where you are to where you want to go, you can turn all of these four things into positive feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and actions, and you get to create that bridge and go over on the other side like that. Okay, so that being said, I would love to say thank you so much, Kendra, for having me, and I would love to invite you guys to come to my website, look at one of the events I do. It's a 3-day event I do. In this 3-day event, go to events tab and you will find my 3-day event where I can actually help you understand your chakras, help you create your signature financial flow so that you can get out and get to the next level. So that is it's my wish to the universe to may it give you all the health, wealth, and happiness that you deserve.
I love that you've found your purpose and you've been able to meld the teachings from your grandfather into how you started out coming to America with only $20 in your pocket. So
Yeah.
that's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing with us and our listeners and viewers today.
Thank you so much, my friend Kendra, for having me here. I really appreciate you. And I want to let your listeners and viewers and you know, Kendra, that I love you.
And we all need a little bit more love in the world. So thank you for sharing that as well. All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Thanks for being here. Well, that was a truly powerful conversation for me to be able to walk through that with Ash, and I hope that you agree. And if you found this content resonating with you, I hope that you pause and take note of what you want to take away from this conversation and jot it down, maybe write it in a journal or make a note in your planner, or just pause and reflect and decide what you're going to do differently moving forward, or did this just resonate with you and reconfirm all the things that you're doing are the right things, and just keep moving forward, right? One breath and one step at a time. So it's just a good reminder that this is a space where we have those great conversations. We're building that great community of like-minded individuals like you out there. So thank you for tuning in. And if you've stayed this long, that means that something's resonated with you. And I hope that if you haven't already, that you take a minute and subscribe, possibly like the video, so I know that you want to see more content like this. And you also make sure that you never miss another episode. So, and when you get a chance, if you could just share this episode with a friend or two, that would be awesome, because we want to keep building an audience. So the more we have this community online, the more content I can bring to you guys that makes sense and resonates with you. So keep giving me feedback, keep letting me know, and just remember, the light in me honors the light in you. And as you head into the rest of your week, let your light shine through. Go slow to go fast, and thanks for listening.